And we're live. So, guys, this is the fourth episode of Dealer War Room. And I always start the show by saying that the only reason I created this podcast is because, listen, I don't want to be known for doom and gloom, but I'm being ultra paranoid because even though I'm not an economist, I understand we're due for another crisis in automotive because we haven't had one since 2008, right? Because COVID actually was kind of good for car dealers as opposed to, let's say, hospitality industry. So it's been 18 years, and in my mind, the crisis would be when demand drops, right? That's how we all know that we're in a crisis mode. And each episode I dedicate to finding some kind of a solution that will not avert the crisis, but will help the dealers survive it. And today I have a dear friend of mine, Jeremy Miller, with me. And I met Jeremy many years ago when you were with Allstate.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think your job was to set up an Allstate insurance agency inside the dealership,
Yes.
which on the surface was a phenomenal idea,
Yes.
right? And we'll get into to later. So Jeremy knows the car insurance business probably better than anybody out there, and I think a lot of dealers underestimate the potential income source or profit center that car insurance could be if it's done correctly, not like the old-fashioned way.
Right.
And on top of it, besides knowing Jeremy for many years, I want to make sure that our audience knows that Jeremy is also a former Marine, and for me, this is like the ultimate reflection of character and values. So, welcome to the show. Tell us. I know you are no longer with Allstate. So, where are you now, and what is it that you can do for car dealers?
So I always like to start, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I actually started selling cars. Straight out of the Marine Corps, selling cars. And the guy that ran the dealership he hired me and he says, "Hey, when you finish this book, you can start." It was a Zig Ziglar book on selling because I never sold anything. And anyway, so he hands me the book, and the next day I walk in, lay the book on his desk, and I was like, "Can I start today?" I read the book, read it overnight. And first month in the car business, I was a number one sales guy. And sold the most units. And anyway, still have a lot of respect for that guy today. We still talk, but yeah. So I always tell the funny story about how we got in the insurance. Back in the old days, the car business, late '90s, early 2000s, you had to actually handwrite a credit application. And I remember taking a credit application it was a State Farm agent, and asked him his gross monthly income, and he tells me the number. I kind of looked at him in disbelief, like, okay, all right, what
You
you
mean annually?
yeah. What do you really make? And that was a funny story too. I actually took a credit up on a college football basketball coach one time, and he told me his monthly, and I was like, "That's all." And my head went to annually because I was used to seeing that as an annual number in West Virginia. But long story short, when the State Farm guy told me what he made, I said, "All right, so you don't work any holidays. You're home every birthday for the kids, and you make this." And he says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, a year later, I actually opened up an insurance agency in my hometown, and for Allstate, and did really well at it, and enjoyed doing it. Love." And I kind of brought some of the car business stuff over to the insurance agency, doing call centers and staying open late, working Saturdays, and things that I learned in the car business. Car guys are some of the most dedicated people. They work tirelessly out there trying to figure out how to make the next buck and be creative. But I had a great stint there at Allstate and putting Allstate agencies in. But what I've noticed through the years is the piece that I love about what I do now is it's embedded, and it's a company called In the Car. We integrate in the DMS. So just like everything's innovating and evolving and going digital and making it just easier and faster for the customer, insurance is there, right? And it has arrived. And the last thing somebody wants to do, I laugh because I don't know if you remember back in the I don't know, maybe early '90s, mid '90s, Geico's Commercial was you could save 15% in 15 minutes or less, right? 15 minutes was fast back then. You know,
Yes.
and I remember being an insurance agent going, how do they do it in 15 minutes, man? It takes me 30 minutes to get through this quote stuff. We're doing it in 37 seconds now. That's 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 how much it's evolved. I mean, our it's wild, man. Like and you know, just the things like what I love in dealers that I can get their attention and we talk about different ways to make revenue. But it's also, man, it's a tool. It's just an arrow in the quiver. You're negotiating a car deal. Cost of ownership is a huge term we hear now in our business in the auto sector. Cost of ownership, it's like you got an arrow right there in your quiver when you decide to do this to help that customer overall cost of ownership. And insurance is like, besides the car payment, next is insurance when it comes to, you know, the expense.
Sometimes the insurance payment is higher.
Yeah, yeah, it is, man. I mean, so anyway, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm passionate about, and I love that I've been able to sort of
So let me
marry.
understand this. Do you guys provide insurance from different underwriters?
No, so that's where we are unique in a sense. We have one carrier partner that we have, but it's for those states that we're not in yet. So our goal is to be in all the states. The states that we're in, we're what you call an MGA, so we're a managing general agency, which the big term there is authority, right? So we have authority to sort of rate and underwrite the product. We have a fronting carrier, Spinnaker's our fronting carrier, and so no, that's what's the beautiful thing about what we do is customer gets a text message, deal numbers created in the DMS. You know, customer says yes, deal numbers created. SMS goes out to the customer. Customer clicks the link. They see the quote. It's all because we're pulling that information from the DMS. So the customer has the quote, and it's what we call a rate call 3 quote, which means it's not a bait and switch. A lot of times with some of our competitors, customers will see a lower quote, and then they call an agent, and the agent's like, oh yeah, well, your credit sucks, your driving record sucks, you had any insurance, it's not $100, this is actually $500. Now the whole car buying journey is like, so we give a rate call 3, and that's the quote is the quote. Like the next thing they click is bind. When they see the quote, if they like it, they can click the bind and pay, because we've paid a little extra, and our systems allow us to sort of see underwrite that customer really fast behind the scenes.
So you can underwrite a first-time buyer, anybody? Because
Yeah.
I think the reason I mentioned Allstate in the beginning of our conversation, because on the surface it looked like a really good idea, but I think the real issue is that Allstate is kind of selective.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Who is the easiest person in the world to sell insurance to? The person that doesn't have any, right?
Right.
And that typically is a risk. An insurance company is all about managing risk. It's not that they are, you know, they're that selective. It's just, and I tell my dealer partners all the time. It's like, look, hey, we'll take the bad, but we need the good, right? Like I don't I don't want just the no prior insurance, tons of claims, person that can't get in. That's not a good risk for us to just keep taking those kinds of risks. Now, we take them on because, but again, you got to have a whole, you know, imagine a swimming pool full of people. You got swimmers, you got people that can't swim. We need all the folks to come in, and that's that risk management, being able to get our partners just to buy in. And when that text message is sent out to 100% of their car buyers, then we get to manage that risk pretty easy. So, but yeah, most carriers in part will be selective and not want all the the
Right,
noise.
but then since you integrate with DBS, right?
Mhm.
Then you do get 100% text
Yeah,
messages.
yeah. So we have certain DMSs where 100%, and we have the big one, CDK, Techion, DealerTrack. We have a Route One integration where they have to manually push the button because there's certain DMSs out there. We're still negotiating some contracts, and just you wouldn't believe. I mean, I'm sure you would. Like, sometimes there's obviously dealers know this because the DMSs charge them. so that's the thing that we have to sort of work against and see if it makes sense. But yes, ideally we would love to be on every DMS platform that's in every dealership throughout the country at some point.
So basically, you pull the information from the customer screen in the
Mhm.
deal,
Yeah,
right?
once it's loaded. Yep.
But let's say it's me, right? I'm the
Yep.
customer, and I do have insurance.
Mhm.
I actually do have it with Geico. So, do you know that?
We do. I mean, it's typical. There's a current carrier database that we know who they're with, what their limits are, and that's just information that every carrier has ability to see because you want to know how to rate this person, right? If you've been with Geico for 20 years and you have zero claims, I want you as a customer all day long, right? Because you're an excellent risk. Um, so yeah, in the back end of that, we can see that.
Okay.
That prior insurance, if you will. And again, Max, you're in a car. If you're Max Zanin sitting in a dealership buying a car today, you did probably think about even buying insurance. You're like, I was going to buy this car and I'll just add it to my Geico policy because that's who I've had. The way we work with our dealer partners is we pay them per quote, like we pay them per completed quote. They don't have to bind the policy to get paid. But what my team does out in the field, I'm out in Oklahoma today, but we go out and we train our dealer partners, and their sales guys, and we're working on some videos and some digital stuff as well. But it's about, nudging the customer, if you will. So Max Zanin's sitting there. You and I built great rapport. I just sold you a car. You said yes. And I say something like, hey, Max, I got to take the car, get it cleaned up, get some gas in it, get some things ready for F&I. Do me a favor. You received a text message a few minutes ago from a company called In the Car. We partner with those guys. Can you just click the link? It takes about 37 seconds to get a quote. Let's just keep Geico honest, and then I walk away. And Max and I's got good enough rapport. If I did my job as a salesperson, then you're more likely going to click the link. And then a couple weeks ago in Texas, I actually walked out the store, walked back in. The salesperson runs out, and she's saying, they saved $130. so I'm like, hold on, let me get my phone out so I can video this. But man, that's just what makes us feel good is helping our dealer partners, but even being the hero for the customers and helping, like I said, that cost of ownership is important.
But if I heard you correctly, I think you just said you pay the dealer even for the quote.
Yeah, it's just a quote. Yeah, we just pay per quote. Like it's a referral, basically. In the car business, you can call it a bird dog fee, a spiff, whatever.
Usually in the insurance relationships, you would pay if the customer buys the policy.
Yeah, and you have some dealers that want to get licensed, or maybe some of those prior dealers that's got somebody licensed in the dealership. We have some license partnerships where we'll pay like for new business and renewals. Of course, have to stay within all the insurance regulations of each state and different things. But for the most part, we pay the dealer obviously for being our partner, and we'll pay the salesperson as well for giving that sales nudge, if you will, to get the customer to click the link for those completed.
I'm dying to know how much. If I'm a salesperson, how much do I get paid?
We have right now we're running it's on average about $25 for a salesperson. We're running a promo right now through third quarter. We're paying $75 per quote to the dealership. Ideally, $50 goes to the dealer, $25 goes to the salesperson. Sometimes our dealer partners are just like, hey, we'll just give it all to the salesperson. I don't want it, like they just see it as a tool. And we just ACH the dealer, and they can decide where that money goes. We really, I feel like, again, just the way the car buying experience still is, those sales guys in the trenches, they're the ones that's going to, get the behavior of the customer to click the link. Because as well as I do, if you get a text message today, and you get several probably, you're probably just going to swipe and delete because you have no idea. You just think
it's all spam.
Yeah, and you just don't pay attention to it. So until, again, that's next phase in this embedded insurance. How do we change the consumer's behavior just to automatically click the link and say, to get the coverage? But until then, we got to lean into that sales guy that's in the trenches, that's rolling his sleeves up, negotiating the car deal, and having to switch cars and do all those things. That's why we think it's
Okay. So 25, basically $75 a quote.
Yeah. And they don't have to bind. I mean, there's no obligation to bind. And we don't, and again, we are totally understanding like the car business and understand like safeguard regulations, the FTC, customer privacy data. We don't share that stuff. Like we're not, we're not out, and we understand we're not chasing that customer till they're blue in the face and calling the dealer going, "This guy's won't leave me alone." We're smart enough to know when they're not going to ride with us. So, but again, we love just having an opportunity to help those customers in that.
So then I'm going to make this long-winded point, and eventually I'm going to land the plane, and you'll see where I'm going.
All right.
So, I used to be a huge proponent of franchise laws,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they do protect the dealers, and in many cases they protect the dealers from the OEM, which is phenomenal,
Yeah.
right? But the older I get, the more I notice that there's a flip side to the franchise laws. And the flip side is that they put dealers to sleep, meaning that they know that they're protected on the sales side of the business.
Mm-hmm.
So all the focus goes into the sales, right? And we can sell our way out of any trouble, right? And all the emphasis is on the selling the car. And according to NADA, 97% of dealer principals came up through sales. So then service kind of is neglected, especially in the densely populated urban areas where there's a lot of transient populations. People believe they can sell their way out of trouble, as opposed to focusing on fixed stops or any other profit centers for that matter, right? Not a lot of dealers own body shops.
Yeah.
Not a lot of dealers spend the time selling tires or selling parts online. And these are all legitimate profit centers that will help any dealer survive, any type of a crisis in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So here's how we're going to land the plane, right? So in the service department, right? And I think you and I spoke about it. To me, the waiting area, that's a movie theater, right? That's captive audience, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you go to a movie theater, they play commercials,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's nothing you can do. You're not walking out. You already bought the ticket,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So my question is, I understand, you pay $75 a quote in the sales department, but in terms of the volume and the number of customers, any service department, is light years ahead in volume than their sales department,
Right.
right? So is it something that's on a table where the quote goes out through the same text to every customer who has a repair order?
We already do that.
So that's what I wanted to.
Yeah. So you landed the plane great, and I can pick up and take off right where you landed it. So we do the same integration through the service department. RO, once the RO is closed, once it goes to closed status, that quote goes out to that service customer. And again, just like we spoke before, we see a lot of quotes, man. I mean, it's almost triple what you see go out through sales. You'll see in those text messages because the amount of ROs that are coming through that service department. We see a lot less, initiating an activity because no one's thinking about it. So again, we're starting to go in and talk. I have a large dealer in Texas we're going into next week to talk to the service director to offer the same type of spiff, if you will, to the service advisor. So when Max Zanin comes in to get his oil change, and I'm like, "Hey, Max, thanks so much for your business. I look forward to seeing you in another 5,000 miles. By the way, you just got a text message from a company that we partner with in the cars. We'll make sure you get the
I'm not sure I agree with the timing because I think you mentioned that the text goes out once the repair order is closed.
Yeah. You think it should go out when it's open?
Yeah, because once it's closed, I'm kind of done.
Got it.
I got the keys, I drove out. But if if I got it while the car is on a lift, it doesn't matter if I'm waiting in the waiting area or I went back to work. It's on my mind. And if I can save money on insurance, maybe I can afford that repair, especially if I'm out of warranty and I got to pay cash for that repair.
And I think we have the liberty, Max, to send it. I think it's just really we leave it up to our dealer partner when they want that to go out. We kind of let them decide. And it's funny because I think there's such a I can't think of the word, but people think that automatically insurance is going to put a bad taste in the customer's mouth, and it's like they don't want to open up Pandora's box or something when it comes to
But you
Insurance.
need it, right? Like you gotta have like you know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you do. But I mean, I think too that it's how you present it, and that's what I tell my sales team. It's like we don't ever just say to the customer, "Click that link and save money," because we may be $4 higher. So I don't want to be like, "Well, you lied to me. I'm not saving money." You want to say like, "Hey, we want to make sure you're getting the best rate available." And if you're not and you're not comfortable changing, that's fine. What I love about what we do is we're really, like I said, living into the work. Embedded has taken on so many forms through the years. Embedded is we give you a rate one call quote. It's kind of that teaser quote. You like it, and then we embed that in some kind of app, and then you call an agent, right? And that's where it loses the embedded piece. To me, embedded is truly from the time they see the quote to the time they buy an insurance and never have to talk to a person. That is
It's all automated.
that is all embedded, automated, fantastic. And we are really, I guess, innovative and being pioneers in what we call a digital agency, right? Like, I mean, at some point I can even see, I mean, we know what the big topic was at NADA last year, and I'm sure it will be this AI, right? Like getting AI to reach out, and when they're, you got all these things behind the scenes that are noticing things, that coverages and maybe conversations that need to be had. You can embrace all the digital and technology that we can for our advantage, and that's what's important. And even with our dealer partners, I still think there's a lot of dealerships that they do fantastic things, man. They build these beautiful Taj Mahal dealerships, and then you walk in and you talk to the sales guy that started 6 months ago, and it's like I'm talking to the guy from 1998 that's sitting there. They're not smoking cigarettes anymore. They're vaping. They're vaping pink. But there's like that little crow's perch outside the dealership, or the golf. Now it's golf carts. Everybody's sitting on. I mean, I used to have to walk 3 miles across the lot, man. We never had
Right.
golf carts. Now everybody's sitting on the golf cart on their phones, on their vape pens, and it's the same kind of mentality. And I'm like, man, like that's the piece of it that is still like, it's just hard to let go of, I guess. I don't know, but I do know there's dealers that are innovating, and they're trying to do as much as they can to keep up with the Amazon Autos and the Carvanas and all those things. And I really think digital insurance, embedded insurance, is the way to do that.
I agree with you, and I think we covered the sales department, right? So if I'm a salesperson, or the dealer, right, it's in my best interest to make sure that the customer, clicks on the text message and the link in the text. Same thing with service, even more so just because of the volume, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't spoken about F&I, right? And technically, F&I stands for finance and insurance.
Yeah.
Right? I am yet, right, to meet a finance manager who does the I part,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we no longer sell credit life, right? Those days are gone, right? So right now, in most cases, a finance manager is somebody who hangs the paper, sells traditional F&I products, whether it's VC, gap, tire and wheel, interior, exterior, and then has to fund the deal, right? That's the job. But again, I think if the customer gets the quote from you before they see the finance manager,
Mm-hmm.
and they can save some money, that savings need to be communicated.
Yeah, I mean, there's proof, there's data out there that supports that.
Right. So like, hey, I know you saved $25 a month on your car insurance. Let's reallocate these $25 towards the gap policy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing on average a little over $500 spent in F&I when they save money prior to going into the box. I mean, and you see that, and then you scratch your head and you're like, why aren't we trying this with everyone? Because as well as I do, I mean, everybody's wanting to show these lost. I mean, they're to compete in new cars, like they're losing money on the front and they're trying to make it up on the back end. And the insurance piece of that definitely helps, man. It helps open that door up for that conversation. For if I'm a finance manager, I can say, hey, Mr. Zanin, I understand you just save $40 a month on your auto insurance. I got this awesome product today that you're going to love. It's a little over half of that, but we'll get you down the road. But again, it just opens up more enthusiasm for the finance manager and the customer's, persona and mentality is a lot different in that situation for sure.
But then what does the dealer have to do to get the renewal commission?
Really, it's when you're a licensed partner, it's, just like anything else. You just the insurance regulators, commissions in most states will have set up a separate entity, an S corp, LLC, whatever you decide. And then you have to have a person that's licensed. We can't share commissions to an unlicensed person.
Okay.
And that's basically what it boils down to. So yeah, it's more about licensing and who's the person that we're paying. So
All right. So then let me ask you this. If I'm a dealer and I wanted to do this, I reach out to you. How long does it take to integrate with DMS, get my people trained in every department? Because I wouldn't want to just use it in sales.
yeah, in every department, it takes about, honestly, from the time we talk, if you're interested, we make sure it's a good fit for both sides and explaining what true partnership means, and depends on their DMS. But DMS integration can take 5 minutes. It just depends on which one it is. I mean, it's a matter of the person that has the account access. That's usually the biggest challenge in finding out who the dealership who actually has the login to add things to their DMS. That's usually the biggest challenge, trying to figure out who that person is. And then after that, it's minutes. And I have a team. They're staying active, man. They're in the field every week. And we're just, I actually doing calls later. I mean, believe it or not, Max, I'm actually got 2 guys. We're going role plays here in a little bit. Like, all right, sales, how do we help the salesman? The customer says this, what do they say? And we're talking about talk paths. And really, we're just trying to get better, man. Just trying to stay sharp in the marketplace. But you could be ready to do this. If we talk today, it'd take less than a week. I mean, really.
Okay.
So,
And then are you like by yourself in this field, or you have competitors?
we have competitors in the marketplace, but we're the only ones that offer a rate call 3. So keep in mind, you have there's a couple great competitors out there, and they're good companies. And what they do is they're at the mercy of all their carriers. The tout and the brag is like, we got 50 carriers to choose from. Sometimes too much choice is too much choice. You know what I mean? Then it just confuses everybody. Nobody knows where to go. But also what happens is they the rate, the quote that typically comes across is what they call an aggregator. It's like a rate call 1. And again, it may not be true once the customer gets on the phone. No one is doing the truly embedded, here's your quote. It's a bindable quote is, I guess, the term I need to use. Bindable quote in 37 seconds. We're the only ones in the industry doing that.
That means in these 37 seconds, you run the credit, you run the DMV record.
It's all there. It's just, we pull it all in our API behind the scenes. We pay a little more for that, as a company, because we're not, because it does cost money to pull those rewards. But for us, it's all about making sure that the dealers are happy and making sure the customer has a seamless and very conscious of that time in that car buying journey is what's important to us.
And are there any success stories that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, I like I shared earlier, I know we have customers that saved. I'll tell you a good one, Max. I was in a dealership down in Texas a few weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, and I'm thinking I'm going into this meeting to present to the sales guys. The sales manager is more like, "Hey guys, he's within the car. I quoted with them yesterday. I saved $2,300. I have 6 cars. He's naming off all his cars. I saved $2,300 with these guys. You guys are crazy if you don't go out and do this for yourselves and introduce it to your customers." I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I guess I just wasted a flight down here. But again, and to be real, does 100% of your customers save money? No, but does a book? Yes, like the opportunity to quote. That's what it's about. It's just. And I really believe the way our text message reads like XYZ Ford has partnered with In the Car to make sure you're getting the best rate available. And that way, if we are a few dollars more, you can simply look at the customer and say, well, congratulations on the purchase of your vehicle. Sounds like State Farm's taking good care of you. And then you just move throughout the sales process. No harm, no foul.
To use the calculator just for a second, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm a dealer, right, and I think, seeing 2,000 people a month between sales and service and parts is reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
2,000 times $75 is 100.
150 grand.
You're gonna pay the deal 150 grand for that 30-day period.
Yeah. If they're completed quotes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, and that's $1.8 million a year.
You got it. It's what I tell my guys all the time. You got to talk about the big number. So nobody gets excited about $25, right? It's like $25. What's that do for me? $75. What's that? I do that at lunch every day. But when you put it on the big, and I had one general manager a couple weeks ago, and I could tell he got it because he's like, well, I could just add that to my parts statement, right? Like I can just put that money towards my parts statement. I'm like, yes, you can.
If I'm a dealer principal, we're talking about a grand total of $1.8 million a year. And when I was in retail, I was told you don't just look at the big number for the year, you multiply that number by 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's 9 million. So if there's an opportunity for me to pick up $9 million, I don't know how to put this in a politically correct way, Jeremy, but I would do backflips.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a huge amount of money. And again, like, when shit hits the fan, right? Sales go down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think during 2008 they went down 35%, but it felt like 50%.
We're doing cash for EV clunkers now, or
Right. Right. So if sales go down, right, this is just common sense. People hold on to their cars longer,
yep.
and therefore they have to maintain and repair them so they can run them until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
So if the dealer is really laser focused on fixed stops, and and they should be focused now, right? Because the numbers are crazy. I'm telling you, there's conservatively 100 million repair orders that are slipping through dealers' fingers
Mm-hmm.
and going to Midas, Meineke, Valvoline, Jiffy Lube, Goodyear, you name it, right? So if you start winning back that business, which you should because it has to carry you through a downturn in sales.
Yeah.
And you can still quote insurance because even if there is a financial crisis or automotive retail crisis, people still need insurance on
Absolutely.
vehicles. You can still see 2,000 people. Maybe the ratio will be skewed towards service more than
Mm-hmm.
sales, right? Even more so than today. But it's still 2,000 people. It's still 2,000 times 75.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it really is, and I think
Compelling. I mean, like, like. But let me ask you this. I've been in car business my entire adult life, so this is my 26th year, and I've met many dealers, and some of them are kind of quirky, And have you had a situation where you presented and they said, "Nope"?
yeah. I walked in a store last week and the guy he wouldn't even take my business card. I mean, and I'm like, it puzzles me sometimes because exactly what I do, they would hire me in a heartbeat because I'm just walking in cold to shake a hand and say hello. But I had someone didn't even shake my hand, and his reason was he's like, we already send enough marketing stuff to our customers. I don't want to add something else. That was kind of like, you don't get it. Like this isn't a marketing piece. This is an opportunity to help with the cost of ownership and make you money, make customer money. So yeah, no, yeah, there are people that just don't see it, and I get that. I mean, again, that's why we have, however many OEMs we have and different styles, and people like different things, and I understand that. So, but I think for the change and the innovation that's coming in the industry, why not be at the forefront of it? Because this digital insurance, this embedded way is the future of insurance. Again, I think we talked last week, Max, about Amazon Autos, and we both share similar thoughts with that. And I'm like, I mean, come on, like, we thought Carvana was a problem. You know what I mean? Like when this Amazon Auto things, when it takes off like a rocket ship, it's going to be all hands on deck. It's like you said about service departments, when they figure out, okay, we got all these Amazon Autos, now where do we service our vehicles? Let's just buy up all the other independent Meinekes and
Yeah,
Midases.
let's buy Valvoline and Jiffy Lube,
Yeah,
rebrand the Amazon Service Center, and
yeah.
it's
You said that about the Prime discount. I'm like, yeah, I could totally see that. Like, so again, I'm not saying. I think in this space, and I love that you're calling your podcast the War Room, because it is like it's a time for dealers to figure out strategy, because that stuff's coming and it's coming fast. And how do you build these beautiful Taj Mahals, you put Starbucks coffees inside of them, and you think that's what's going to draw them in there. Um, but there's other things such as saving me money. Like we were talking, I got a tire guy I go to, and I love that guy because I can call him today and say, hey, I need my wife's brakes looked at, or I need my daughter's oil changed, and he's like, hey man, I can get you in. I can get you in. I can get you in Thursday. Like he's really trying. I call my local dealership for the same brand, the Ford that my wife drives, and it's like, well, it'll be 6 weeks before we can get you in, and it's like, and they're not trying. And I don't feel like they're trying, so I don't go there to drink their Starbucks coffee at the showroom, because my guy Tate with his 2 bay garage gets me in on Thursday, and he's a good dude.
yeah.
So, um,
But
so
but then
anyway,
let me ask you this: if right now it works through the text message,
yeah,
but why not put it on the dealer's website?
we can, yeah, yeah. I mean, the way I see it, there's three potential opportunities to purchase insurance. The pre-purchase journey. I'm on my couch at night. I'm on the
Right.
dealer's website. I'm looking at the car. Pop up says, hey, check your insurance. Boom. They click it. They get their quote in 37 seconds. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I can afford this. So yes, we will totally embed in the dealership's website. The second side is during the negotiation process, right? We're trying to find money so they can buy this car. We don't have to switch cars, go to a lower level. We have a QR code, table tent, sets on the salesperson's desk. Customer scans that QR code, click the link. All right, I'm saving $60 a month. You're trying to bump me $30. We're good to go. Let's do it. And the other piece is the customer says yes to buying a car. Then that's when the deal gets loaded, deal number's created, text message goes to the customer. So we're doing pre, during, and post.
Okay. But then I think I remember from the Allstate days, right? That the idea was that car insurance is the starting point.
Mm-hmm.
And then in theory, right, that Allstate agency would be engaged in cross-selling home insurance, annuities,
Mm-hmm.
life insurance. Is there cross-sale going on here?
Not, yeah, not yet. We'll go down that path. Right now, we're just focused on the auto side, and but yeah, I see what you're saying, and there has been some very successful full blown agencies inside of dealerships. When you got buy-in at the top, that was the biggest challenge. It was getting the buy-in from the dealer principal down to the sales manager to make sure that customers being introduced. You know,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
it all starts with the dealer commitment.
mhm,
And a lot of times you don't get that because it could be an absentee dealer,
mhm.
could be a dealer that is not involved, in a
Yeah, and,
day.
and there's dealers that just totally. And a lot of our conversations are not had at the dealer principal level. It's more at the general manager level, because most dealers trust that they entrust in their general managers. A lot of good general managers out there, which if I was a dealer principal, there's a lot of these dudes I would trust too. So a lot of our conversations are with the GMs.
Right, but I think that dealer commitment really needs to come from the owner, in a sense that every department should be able to stand on its own,
Hmm.
right? So whether it's in dealership insurance agency, standalone parts department, standalone quick lube,
Hmm.
right? They all got to stand alone,
Yeah.
and in many cases they don't.
Hmm.
Because the commitment is not there, right? And then, it gets kind of buried, right? And either the F&I department or the service department ends up paying,
On the deals.
for the underperforming departments.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better when I've been part of a couple of dealerships where the parts department, was 80 some % absorption, like paying most of it. I mean, that's nice, but they're working their tails off, sell out, delivering parts every day. It's like you described online and doing that stuff. But yeah, it's good to see when you see one that's clicking like that, and you're like, okay, these guys get it. So
Yeah, but listen, I'm kind of blown away with the dollar amount that the dealership can make, and it's up to them how they're gonna split it, right? It
yeah,
doesn't matter, right? The amount is that, right? So I think if I worked for your company, right, I wouldn't even wear a suit, right? I would just walk in with that sign, like
yeah. What we do, man, we got these blaze orange golf shirts, man. We look like a bunch of hunters walking in. Uh,
like $1.8 million. That's what I would do. But again, I am blown away by the fact that some dealers, wouldn't give you a time of the day, and I hear this a lot, from other vendors in the industry that provide tremendous value, right? And it just keeps happening, and I think. The next crisis, again, I don't want to be like known for doom and gloom, but I think the next crisis will really eliminate a lot of underperforming dealers,
mhm.
and the true survivors will have a bigger market share to
Yeah.
split between them.
Yeah. Do you think, Max? I mean, with the large, say the top 10 auto groups, do you feel they're just going to keep acquisitioning and purchasing? Like, I mean, that's what I see so much of now.
So this is, again, I'm not a Wall Street expert, but I think when you are a publicly traded company, the analysts really care about the top line growth
Yeah.
with the expectation that the bottom line will eventually be there, like in the
Yeah.
future. So every time you acquire a dealership, your top line grows. And I don't believe that these companies have the know-how to acquire that many dealerships and run them properly. And I'll tell you why, right? Because I know, right, whether I'm in Oklahoma, Texas, New York, Madrid, London, when I go to McDonald's, I know exactly what it's going to look like, and I know what Big Mac is going to taste like.
Yes.
And there'll be no deviation from the recipe. I don't think in our business we have that mentality. I don't think the customer gets identical experience, let's say, when they go to a Lithia store in Michigan and a Lithia store in Florida.
Hmm. Yeah, you're
And
right.
we end up in this cycle where the ownership says, well, each store has its own general manager and each store is run differently.
Hmm.
So even though the name is the same, right? Everybody's kind of allowed to deviate or like be between these widely set guardrails. And because of that, the customer experience is not the same. I think that's where Carvana is a little better,
Hmm.
right? Because it's the same experience for
Yeah.
everybody. We can debate whether it's good or bad, but it's the same.
Yes.
Right? So I think this growth by acquisition, again, remember, the financial crisis meant what? That liquidity disappeared. In order for you to acquire dealerships, you need to borrow money.
Hmm.
Right? So if there'll be a financial crisis similar to 2008, liquidity will disappear.
Yeah.
You will not be able to acquire those dealerships. Most likely, you will have to sell them at a fire sale price just to keep your other. Because I don't believe all of these stores that they acquire produce at an equal level. So what's going to happen or ends up happening is that high producing stores carry the lower producing stores,
Hmm.
and it kind of gets lost in the financial statement. But
Yeah.
when shit hits the fan, you got to get rid of the underperformers.
Yeah.
And since nobody can borrow money from the bank, you got to do it at fire sale prices.
Yeah. Yep, they have to trim the fat.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't think, AutoNations or Lithias of the world are going to take over the car business. Especially if you look at New York City, right? They're petrified, right? They're petrified because the rent factor is something they cannot process.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, the standalone, the mom and pop or the small order groups, they have to do whatever it takes, not only to, survive the next downturn, but they have to do whatever it takes to either stave off this expansion
Mhm.
or be so attractive that they will pay an insane multiple to acquire you,
Yes.
right? And if you maximize every profit center, including car insurance, then you have a chance to survive and be profitable and even sell. Because a lot of times it could be a succession issue,
Yeah.
right? Like the dealer has children and they're not interested in car business, right? So you want to get as much money as possible, right? The greatest multiple available, but you have to have a product,
Exactly.
right? And the product is your financial statement that smells like roses, right? Because you're making money everywhere.
Yeah.
Sales, F&I, parts, service, reinsurance, car insurance, tire sales, mobile service. Then it becomes appealing.
Yes. No, I agree. It's and you're going back to your F&I talk a little bit ago. It's you know when they get there, it's almost too late. Not too late for the auto insurance, but for it to serve its purpose, it needs to happen somewhere between them going on a test drive to the yes to and then before they get to F&I, because I really believe if you want to see a lift in your F&I department, presenting that car insurance quote right before they go, and again, if they can bind it in a minute, they pay and away they go. And that to me is where that additional revenue, if you're bringing an extra 500 400 or 500 bucks per copy to the finance department because they save money on their auto insurance, I mean, why not try it?
No, this is really simple to solve because, in 2001, right, when I started selling cars, I worked for Potemkin Volkswagen in Manhattan. And there was a simple rule, right? You were not allowed to bring your customer into F&I unless they had insurance.
Mm.
And you would literally get fired if you broke the rule.
Yeah, you get your folder thrown back at you, right?
That phone was flying, at the speed of light.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yes. So I think, and it makes sense, right? Because once you're done with F&I, if you're a customer, you want to take the keys and just go,
Yeah.
right? If you got to do F&I and then, sit another 30, 40 minutes to get car insurance, it kind of completely ruins the experience.
Yeah. And the other thing, I mean, there's states that have different requirements, right? You mentioned like in New York, I know there's like Massachusetts, they have to get a stamp, from an insurance company. They have to be stamped. There's some states that they just require a photocopy of an insurance card. So especially hear the sales guys like, why would I bring up insurance, man, if they got a valid insurance card? Why do I care? Like, that's the last thing I want to mention because I just spent the last hour negotiating a car deal, and it's the last thing I want to do. And you hear that, and you're just like, man, like you don't see the big picture here. Like even if they don't save money, you still give the customer the perception that you care, like that it matters, that cost of ownership matters. And if you do save them money, you're the hero at the end of the day, and that's the piece I just scratch my head. I'm like, of course, most of the guys that say that, like they're not going to be lifelong car guys because they're gonna get rich, and then they're going to get a reputation. So they'll get rich
But,
for about a year, and then they won't be selling cars anymore. But anyway,
but I always go back to the dealer commitment because, again, listen, if you and I worked in McDonald's, right? And I came up to you and I said, Jeremy, let's change the recipe for the Big Mac.
hmm
Yeah, let's do it. We will both be thrown out so quickly. right? Like we would not get a chance to make one Big Mac that's different, right?
You know, it goes back to that book, Max. You remember that book? I can't remember which book it was, but it was about the guy that came up with the new Coke. Remember in the 80s,
Yeah,
the new Coke product that came out, and it was a total fail, right? Like,
and they pulled it.
yeah, they pulled it, but that brought in the just the same formula they had, and they were able to call that classic Coke, and the sales soared. So maybe we go in there, Max, and we do create a new Big Mac recipe, and it sucks, and then they bring back the classic Big Mac, and then
And like in McDonald's, right? The franchisee is somehow able to explain to the employees that there's no shot of changing the recipe, right? There's no shot. But for some reason, in a car dealership, the franchisee oftentimes cannot explain to their employees that this is how we do things in this dealership. Whether we provide a quote for insurance or whether we, you follow the 300% rule in F&I where we present 100% of the products, 100% of the time to 100% of the customers, right? For some reason, in many cases, there's a breakdown in the process because every single dealer, and I mean it sincerely, every single dealer knows what needs to be done.
yeah,
I think in many cases there's an execution problem, not knowing problem.
yeah, no, I agree. Well, again, it goes back to change, right? And change is hard, and trying to do something a new way, in a different way, and adding a different talk path in your sales approach and your sales process. And you don't see it. I don't know if you see it much, but I don't see as much as I used to years ago. Like really sales meetings where they provide training, like when you're training a new salesperson on how to say certain things, how to handle certain objections, and you don't see that as much as you once did. I mean, I think if you got a great personality, you figure it out, right? You figure out how to talk to people, but
But
um,
I think there's a lazy way out, right, for
yeah,
this, right? They just say, hey, watch a couple of videos on YouTube.
yeah, yeah. Put yourself out there on TikTok and make some cool videos and get people to come
Yeah,
in and
and
talk
you
about your
can
business
watch
story.
like training videos on YouTube, and
Mhm.
basically the sales manager ends up delegating training to like YouTube, right? Which
Yeah.
is insane.
I remember night in 2000, this guy, the old sales guy, been around for 20 years. His name was Mike. And he put on, it was a rainy day and no customers were around. And next thing I know, he's putting galoshes on over his dress shoes and putting his trench coat on. He's like, come on. I went outside and dude's making me do walkarounds. And he's, all right, what if they say this? I mean, we're just, and so it was a rainy day in the car business. And that was training, and you don't see a lot of that. Walk around contests. We do walk around contests once or twice a year, and then we'd have the dealer principal come out and be the judge, who did the best walk around in the car in the
I think
showroom.
every generation, the attention span is just gone, right?
Yeah,
So like when I used to have these sales meeting with my salespeople every Saturday, they would be like 30 to 45 minutes long, right? I cannot imagine having like your sales force in their 20s paying attention for 30, 40 minutes. I guarantee you they can't do it. They're on the phone.
yeah. I mean, well, I'm telling you, man. I mean, confession. Like, I'll be 50 this year, and even you getting 60 minutes of my undivided attention. I set my phone behind my laptop because I know that thing is. It's like no, it's probably smoking back there. You know what I mean? But I know if it was in front of me and I could see it, you wouldn't have my attention. So that's I mean, it's not just the young generation, man. I think we're all guilty of that now, and the way those things consume us, and Teams and emails and text messages, and you have to be very intentional to give somebody your attention. You really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Listen, and I'm super grateful. We spent like 54 minutes talking about it. And listen, I'll say this, I want everybody to know that this is not pay for play, number
Mhm.
one, right? So all I'm saying is that if I'm a dealer principal, whether in good times or bad times, and I have an opportunity to pick up, between, $2 and $3 million a year, depending on my customer volume between
Mhm.
sales and service, shame on me for not doing
Or
it,
at least
right?
try
Right.
when it doesn't cost you anything.
Exactly. So I encourage everybody to do this because every single customer needs car insurance, whether we like it or not, right? Like, there's no way you can buy a car without it. I
Yeah.
don't think, right? So might as well make money doing it and create an additional profit center that requires zero investment on the dealer side,
Yeah.
right? I understand it doesn't cost anything to start, and if for some reason you don't like it, you can just stop.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have an agreement you sign that basically talks about how, we don't sell or share your customers' data. And in the agreement, we ask for like a 30-day, cancellation, if you decide you don't want to do it anymore. And it's funny, you always hear, and because I will hear from time to time, oh yeah, well, our customer had a horrible experience, and and it was way higher, and the customer was upset, and it's like, were they really? And then you go back, sometimes you can listen if there was. It's usually more to the story than what's being told, the whole story. Um, but again, it's we do have a 30-day cancellation just so we can kind of investigate the reason why. But really, we haven't had anyone that so we've been pretty successful. We got over right now we have about 113 dealer partners in 2 states, and we're about to expand into 6 more states, and we'll be in 27 states by the end of this year, I think. And of course, so yeah, we're coming hard, we're coming fast, and this thing's it's exciting to be part of.
So listen, the final thing I'm going to say is this, right? Like, if you take it $1.8 million, the
Mhm.
hypothetical $1.8
Mhm.
million a year, and let's say you average $3,000 a car after commissions net, right?
Mhm.
That's 600 units.
Yeah.
Same thing, if you're a car dealer and you have an opportunity to pick up 600 units or the equivalent in American dollars, right? I would do backflips. Like, I'm
Yeah.
serious.
That's a good. I haven't thought of that, Matt. That's actually something good to run past my team. To, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
that's
little nugget.
6,000 net. After you paid sales commissions,
Mhm.
F&I commissions,
Yeah,
floor plan expense, all of it,
yeah.
you know? So listen, I really appreciate your time. 57 minutes in 2026 is probably like 5 hours 25 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. No, I appreciate the invite. I've always had a lot of respect for you, Max. I know that I always brag about you and the times I've gone to New York, and you and I always loved that you and Vlad were always my friends up there. And I used to think it was so cool that when I would come to New York, you guys would insist on buying me lunch. And I was like, but I got a corporate credit card. And you're like, no, you're in our town now, and you guys are very hospitable, and I always say, like, I say, you're the most patriotic Russian-born guy I ever met in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do love America.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's amazing, and I appreciate your friendship, and I wish you all the best with this Dealer War Room. I think it's amazing podcast that you're doing.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
All right, sir.
Talk
Have a
to
good
you
day.
later.
See
All
ya.
right, you